Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I am Adrian Atkinson. Today we recap engagements by the Prime Minister in the past week, help you to manage your health and institute a practical budgeting system. There's always more to look forward to in the half hour, so keep watching.
Data from the National Road Safety Council shows that 90% of motorcyclists who die on our roads were not wearing a helmet. Don't let that be you. Wearing a helmet could save you and your pillion's life. In the event of a crash, the helmet can protect you against severe head injuries. Wearing a helmet can also help to reduce wind noise and light rays while driving. Let's work to reduce the carnage on our roads. Wear a helmet, ride safely. Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan and this is your JS News for Thursday, August 8, 2024. As part of this year's Denby Agricultural, Industrial and Food Show, 400 farmers were announced to receive direct aid from the Ministry of Agriculture. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green made the announcement in his address to the annual event on August 6.
We've spread it around, so we have farmers from every parish who will get input support from the Ministry of Agriculture.
The support is in keeping with this year's Denby theme of Building Back Jamaica, selected to focus the event on helping the sector recover from the damage caused by Hurricane Beryl. Minister Green also outlined some of the other interventions to assist farmers with getting their production back on track.
Within 2 weeks of Hurricane Beryl, we were able to call farmers and start distributing seeds. In fact, we have already procured over 10,000 packages of seeds that we have started to distribute across Clarendon, St. Elizabeth and Manchester. Already over 1,000 farmers have received support directly from the government.
In a gesture of corporate support, Grace Kennedy presented a check for $1.7 million during the show to aid the recovery efforts. The money is intended to fund weather protection products for farmers, including those involved in livestock, fishing and beekeeping. Meanwhile, the United Nations, through its World Food Programme, is providing assistance to Jamaica's Hurricane Beryl recovery program. The details were outlined by the UN Resident Coordinator for the island, Dennis Zulu, at Monday's launch of the Rebuild Jamaica initiative.
The target is to provide cash transfer to assist over 18,000 individuals or 6,000 households in the most affected southern and central parishes. Cash distribution is expected to commence in the coming weeks, funded by the multi-donor pool, including contributions from the United States, Canada, the UK, and the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility of up to $3 million. This is in addition to the funds being made available through the United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund.
According to Mr. Zulu, 30 generators have also been procured to support the government's ongoing emergency response and provide power backup in critical services. This is in addition to an emergency telecommunications cluster that was deployed to support internet connectivity. The UN will also be providing warehouse infrastructure, including a forklift and pallet jack. And in short order, the International Organization for Migration will begin repairs to the roofs of 1,500 households and improvement to the facilities at 3 community centers. All works are being coordinated with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security and the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM.
The United Nations will stand with you and your people. We're deeply committed to supporting Jamaica through these challenging times and beyond.
Beverly Howell, Everell Thomas and Philando Clayton are the latest Jamaicans now living comfortably due to the government's new social housing program, NSHP. The Northern Clarendon residents were presented with their units recently by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Beverly Howell from Stourton in the parish received a 1-bedroom unit that greatly improves her living condition. Everell Thomas and his 3-generational family of Sutton Chapelton showed much gratitude for his 3-bedroom housing upgrade. The 3rd unit was presented to Beckford Crawl resident Philando Clayton, who previously shared a wattle and daub hut with his wife and 2 sons, but now enjoys a new 2-bedroom home. Prime Minister Holness says that by the end of the year, over 300 units in total will be built under the new social housing program. These will complement the 70,000 homes being built by the National Housing Trust to meet Jamaica's housing demand.
Currently under construction, the NHT has 5,081 solutions that are in various stages of completion. They have 10,680 units in contracts, meaning that they have gone through procurement, they have engaged with the contractors to start construction, and they have 16,867 solutions in the procurement process, meaning that they are now engaging with various contractors through procurement to determine who will actually do the constructions.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has kicked off a series of sensitization sessions to highlight its renewed focus on primary healthcare reform. This first session was recently held in St. Anne, dubbed Operation Refresh. Primary healthcare reform is aimed at enhancing community health and well-being by standardizing the infrastructure of health centers. It's also focused on increasing the number of home visits from the country's more than 2,000 community health aides to support the prevention and management of non-communicable diseases, NCDs. The government is investing $1 billion in the NCD Prevention and Care Management Initiative as part of the primary care reform process. 4 staff members of the Jamaica Information Service are among the 150 persons who will receive national honors and awards in October. Receiving the Order of Distinction Officer Class is Seaton Richards for contributing 50 years to media production in television. The others will receive the Badge of Honor for Long and Faithful as well as Meritorious Service. Maxine Schrouder is being awarded for 40 years in communication and media. Dave Reed is getting the honor for his work in photography and photojournalism, and Rosalie Marshall for distinguished service to the public sector. Also among this year's national honorees, 8 recipients are set to receive the Order of Jamaica, 30 the Order of Distinction Officer Class, and 38 the Order of Distinction Commander Class. 3 persons will receive the Badge of Honor for Gallantry, 1 posthumously. Members of the uniformed groups as well as persons in the public and private sectors will also be recognized for meritorious and long and faithful service. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is reiterating his government's commitment to ensure that the country builds resilience to adverse weather events and other development shocks. He made the point while addressing this year's Grand Gala celebrations at the National Stadium.
Right now, the focus must be on resilience. However, there is a longer-term goal, which is to increase our productivity and increase the peace. So resilience, productivity and peace. Let's all focus on that, and that will build not just our political independence, but our economic independence, which I believe that's on the mind of every Jamaican.
Thousands of Jamaicans turned out for the annual Independence Day event, which was held under the theme Jamaica 62. One Love to the World. During the ceremony, co-founder of VP Records, Patricia Pat Chin, was honored for contributing to the development of Caribbean music and culture. The reggae group Third World was also presented with citations by the Prime Minister for 51 years as ambassadors of Jamaican music. Other awardees included entertainers Moses Beanie Man Davis and Rodney Bounty Killer Price, who were presented with the Reggae Icon Tribute Award for their contributions to the promotion of dancehall music around the world. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
One of the problems that occurred in the past was the significant delay in the issuing of warrants for persons who did not pay at the tax office and did not attend the court. And so what happened there was that a culture of impunity had developed, where persons felt that when they received a ticket from the police, they could simply ignore it. So where we are now is that we are now current with the issuing of warrants in respect of the current cases. So what that means is that for persons who do not pay at the tax office, don't attend the court, the warrants are being issued and will be issued, and you will be arrested and brought before the court. If you do not wish
to come to court, then go to the tax office. Also, you have the option of contesting it, so you don't pay at the tax office, but you must turn up at court on the date and time stated in the summons. Failing that, a warrant will be issued and you will be brought before the court.
It's time to recap some of the engagements by Prime Minister Andrew Holness last week.
As the country continues to receive emergency relief supplies, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is assuring that a strong accountability system is in place to manage donations. He was speaking last week at the handover of essential supplies to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management (ODPEM) by the USAID. Valued at over $300,000, the donation is part of a larger $2.5 million support that was pledged by the US government.
There is always a sense that whatever is given may not be properly used. And I want to reassure all who are giving, not just the United States, but all countries and all private donors, that the government takes accountability very seriously. The ODPEM knows that that is the policy direction. Whatever is given must be accounted for to the donor, to the government of Jamaica, and to the beneficiary, the recipient.
Consequently, Mr. Holness is encouraging persons who are assisting with the Hurricane Beryl relief efforts or are keen on doing so to direct contributions through ODPEM for reporting and accountability.
There is a sense sometimes that in a time of crisis, in a natural disaster, that there must be, we must dispense with accountability. The truth is that after everyone has received the aid and then we start to account, nobody remembers that there was a crisis. And then you are being held to the post-crisis standard. This government is not going to be trapped in that. I want that to be absolutely clear. Right? So there is a standard crisis or no crisis of accountability, which must be maintained and respected at all times.
As Minister of Defence, Prime Minister Holness was at the naming and commissioning of His Majesty's Jamaican ship HMJS Marcus Garvey. It is the country's latest maritime asset and one of 6 vessels that have been commissioned since 2016. Mr. Holness says the ship represents a significant enhancement of the country's maritime capabilities.
The impact of this vessel extends beyond national security. It will enhance our search and rescue operations, ensuring the safety of our seafarers and tourists. It will also support our blue economy by combating, as I said before, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, thereby protecting the livelihoods of our fishermen and preserving our maritime ecosystem.
The Prime Minister asserts that since 2016, the government has significantly increased its investment in the Jamaica Defence Force.
We have also procured aircrafts, patrol vessels, armored vehicles, radar systems, and cyber forensic labs, and enhanced digital surveillance capabilities, as well as expanded the fleet of vehicles of the JDF. These investments represent our government's commitment to enhancing Jamaica's peace, productivity, and prosperity.
Residents of the Clifton community in Bernard Lodge, St. Catherine have been empowered with certificates of title for property in the area. Prime Minister Holness handed over the documents during a ceremony last Tuesday.
The government of Jamaica must create a system whereby every Jamaican has an equal and orderly opportunity to own a piece of Jamaica and create an endowment for future generations. The title is more than just your certificate of ownership. The title says that I have the ability to use this property to acquire and advance myself economically.
Mr. Holness assured the residents that the process to provide improved infrastructure for the area had begun. It is being done through a $15 billion budget designed to regularize certain inner city communities that have been informally settled.
We won't be able to spend $15 billion in 1 year, so it's a 5-year program. And Clifton will be one of those communities that will benefit from that allocation.
The empowerment of ownership continued in Clarendon on Friday with the handover of 3 units under the new social housing program. The number of houses delivered now stand at 249.
There are 53 units currently under construction in various phases, various stages of completion. We expect that by the end of this year, we would have surpassed the 300 unit mark.
Thank God, I feel many times better in life now.
I overjoy because I never know I would live in a concrete structure with a deck top over my head.
In his address to the nation on Emancipation Day, Mr. Holness encouraged a spirit of tenacity to build a Jamaica of justice, equality, and wealth creation.
We must use our freedom to build our own wealth and secure our economic independence. Every child who celebrates freedom today must be taught that their joy is built upon the courage and sacrifices of those who fought for freedom and for the right to be able to use our God-given talent and energy for our sustainable economic gain. So together, we honor our past, shape our future, and march towards our glorious shared destiny as a proud and free people ignited with purpose.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness also engaged in several courtesy calls last week. These included members of the Nurses Association of Jamaica and the National Farm Queen finalists. Mr. Holness also met with President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA and President of the Republic of Nauru. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.
When handling or preparing food, one should consider certain safety measures to avoid contamination and food poisoning. Watch this.
Dangerous strains of bacteria such as E. coli and Salmonella can cause serious health problems when the food we eat become contaminated through improper handling and not being properly cooked. In light of the dangers, there are some important precautionary measures we must observe to protect our health.
We have to make sure we know where we're purchasing our food. If it's straight from the farms, if it's from the market, it's from the supermarket, it's from the meat shop. Ensure that it is clean. When you are preparing the food, ensure that you have a separate cutting board for meats, separate cutting board for vegetables, and you're constantly washing your hands. If you're going to eat out, ensure that the environment in which you're going to take your family is one where you can trust that the food is being prepared in a clean environment. We love our street food, and we encourage, as Consumer Protection Agency, we encourage that economic activity. But we're saying you have to take precautions as well. Ensure that your street food are from reputable person that you know you can trust.
Check the expiry date on food products before purchasing and check them again before cooking.
In food preparation as well, the education is to ensure that you separate the raw from the cooked. You know, the raw and the cooked is a totally different environment. So when you mix the two, that's when you have contamination. That's when you have food poisoning. That's when you have a member of the family who might end up in the hospital because they're either very young or they're elderly or their immune system has been compromised.
Discard any food that looks or smells questionable. Don't allow your food to stay open and accessible to flies. Containerize and refrigerate or freeze leftover food before 2 hours after cooking. And always store meats and seafood in sealed containers.
The second thing about food safety is you have large amounts of food laid out for a couple hours or more, and the family keeps coming back, dipping, visitors coming, dipping. You have to ensure if you have the food out for more than 2 hours, hot food, be very careful, especially if you add sauces and other condiments on the food. It tends to go a little off early, and that is where you have problems if you have an elderly person or a young child. Make sure that you put that away early, that you don't put your family at risk, because food poisoning, most of us get well quickly, but it can lead to death if your immune system has been compromised. So we're saying be safe with your food. Ensure that when you package them and put them away, they're packaged in portions where when you take them out to reheat, you don't reheat the entire thing and then put it back in the refrigerator. So you apportion it according to what you're going to be using, so you don't increase the risk of food poisoning or any other bacteria entering the food.
Ensure meats are cooked thoroughly. Remember, improper food handling can mean the difference between a trip to the emergency room or enjoying a tasty meal.
Up next, how to manage your budget and allow your money to earn more for you while you save.
My presentation today is on getting the best bang for your budget. Budgeting, simply defined, is creating a plan to spend your money. Good budgeting, however, is ensuring that you're spending less than you earn. I know budgeting can be hard. You make a budget and you find it difficult to stick to it, but it's one of the best ways to keep track of where your money is going every month, and then you can identify what changes you need to make in order to reach your financial goals. When making your budget should include things like your needs, your wants, your savings, your investments, and your emergency fund. So typically what we're saying is that your money monthly should be going towards savings, your bills and utilities, your insurance, and your emergency fund. You also would want to ensure that when you're making your budget, you give every dollar a job and keep track of your spending. Keep a financial journal if necessary. This will help to keep you on track, and you can record and identify the things that you're actually spending your money on. So, one of the first things you'd want to do when you're creating your budget is create a financial plan, and it will help you to map out the actions that you need to take towards achieving these goals. And please ensure that you put your short-term as well as your long-term goals in your financial plan. After you've created your financial plan, then you'd want to identify all your streams of income. Your streams of income is not only your 9 to 5, and that's a mistake that a lot of us make. What about your other passive incomes? What about the earnings you make from your skills? You might be getting an inheritance. You might be getting an annuity. You might be the type of person to buy and sell things. You have to account for every single dollar you make. And likewise, if you're going to account for all your earnings, you'll also have to account for all your monthly expenses. And your monthly expenses is not only your utility bills. A lot of times we neglect to include the other things that we have to spend on. Sometimes the simple things like our personal care, your groceries, your hair care, your wants. Some of us have things that we have to do to maintain our mental health. Include those things in your budget. All things must be accounted for, so you identify where all your income is coming from and you identify all your expenses. So now, let's uncover some of those bad financial habits that are wrecking our financial future. And while it's easy to identify some of our big expenditures, sometimes it's uncovering some of those smaller, more sneakier daily expenses that will save you a lot of money in the long run. My first question to you is, are you paying your bills on time? Paying your bill late comes with penalty fees, and these fees add up. Implementing the right debt payoff strategy, you can pay off your debt quickly, end up saving more, and you end up having more money towards your other financial goals. Prioritize paying off your debts. Things that we tend to let slip through as well. Most banks have a charge that is associated with going to the ATM. Not to mention, if you decide that you're going to use another bank's ATM because it's more convenient, then you end up paying 2-3 times the amount. So you have to keep a close eye on your money, guys. You have to keep track of these fees. Cutting out unnecessary expenses will actually help you to save a lot of money each month. So let's quickly talk about some of the money habits that we need to develop. Pay yourself first. Take out money for your savings. Put it in an investment account if you have to. Have a separate bank account, but pay yourself first. Build up on your retirement fund. Increase your deductions. This will not only help you to put more money towards your retirement saving, but it also reduces your taxable income. And try to make it at least the amount that your employer will match. That's like getting free money. Who doesn't want free money, right? Save for the future. Saying things like YOLO or FOMO can make you feel like you need to spend all your money now. But there needs to be a balance. Enjoy your life now, but be sure that you're saving money for the future and working diligently towards your goals. Live below your means. If you're spending more than you earn, at some point, you're going to have to require credit to cover the rest. If you find yourself having to get credit to pay for basic things, then you need to revisit what you're doing. To grow your money and create real wealth, you need to start investing. Invest your money and help to build up and secure your financial future. Last but not least, invest in a critical illness plan, guys. So I'll end by saying, not budgeting your money, combined with bad financial habits, not saving, can leave you vulnerable to unexpected emergencies, living from paycheck to paycheck, not to mention not having enough money for retirement. You can achieve your financial goals. It's just a matter of prioritizing, sticking to your budget, and tracking your spending.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow and we'll bring another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, gis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at gis.gov.jm or via X at GIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.